আসসালামু আলাইকুম প্রিয় ভাই বোনেরা, আমি ওয়ালিদ আলবাস। আপনারা দেখছেন ওয়ালিদ এক্সপ্লেন। এটি হচ্ছে দি অ্যারাইভাল সিরিজের 13তম পর্ব। আমাদেরকে কমেন্টে জানিয়ে দিন আপনারা কে কোন জেলা থেকে এই পর্বটি দেখছেন।
The beginning is the end, and the end is the beginning. Everything is connected.
ইউএফও ফেনোমেনা। আপনি কি জানেন নিউ ওয়ার্ল্ড অর্ডারকে সুরক্ষিত করার জন্য চূড়ান্ত পরিকল্পনাগুলির মধ্যে একটি কি? দি গ্র্যান্ডেস্ট অফ অল প্ল্যানস কোনটা জানেন? না জানলে আমি বলছি, এই পরিকল্পনাটি প্রথমবার শুনে থাকলে আপনাদের কারো কাছে হাস্যকর মনে হতে পারে। তাই আগে আপনাদেরকে কিছু ইনফরমেশন নিজেদের থেকে রিসার্চ করতে হবে, কারণ তারা আমাদেরকে এতদিন ধরে মিথ্যা বা ভুল তথ্য গলদকরণ করিয়েছে।
This plan is a staged UFO attack on Earth. We have been preconditioned by all the media for the past couple of decades to slowly but surely start accepting the existence of aliens and UFOs.
এলিয়েন আছে কিনা সেটা বোঝার আগে আমাদেরকে আগে বুঝতে হবে এলিয়েন অর্থ কি। অভিধানের ভাষায় এলিয়েন অর্থ হলো এক্সট্রা টেরেস্টেরিয়াল বা বহির্জাগতিক প্রাণ। এখন আমাদের বুঝতে হবে এক্সট্রা টেরেস্টেরিয়াল সত্তা এবং এক্সট্রা ডাইমেনশনাল সত্তার মধ্যে পার্থক্য রয়েছে। এক্সট্রা ডাইমেনশনাল প্রাণীগুলো হচ্ছে জিন, ফেরেশতা, শয়তান ইত্যাদি, যেগুলো আমাদের থেকে আলাদা ডাইমেনশনে বসবাস করে। এই প্রাণীগুলি সব সময় অর্থাৎ প্রাচীন এবং আধুনিক সময়ে আমাদের জীবনকে প্রভাবিত করেছে। তবে আধুনিক দিনের ইউএফওর ঘটনা সম্পর্কে বুঝতে এসব মুভি তৈরি করা হয়েছে, যাতে সাধারণ মানুষ বিশ্বাস করা শুরু করে সত্যি ইউএফও রয়েছে। এটি সাধারণ মানুষদেরকে ম্যানিপুলেট করার একটি উপায়।
I can tell you right now that 99% of every UFO sighting that has ever taken place has actually not been an unidentified flying object, because this has always been military technologies. The thing I'd like to point out is surveys and questionnaires. You know, we get surveys and questionnaires all the time, sent out by the state or by the government or by our leaders and our officials, and so on and so forth. Do you really think these ruling powers care about what you think? Do you really think that they're waiting to ask you and receive your answer before making a decision? What happens with these questionnaires is that they are released. For example, what country do you think the US should attack next? And if it yields back results like 70% of the US population believe Iran is the next country that should be attacked, this is actually a study conducted for the effectiveness of the media propaganda that they are using. So when they get such results, they look at it and they be like, all right, amazing. Our media propaganda is working. We are purposely trying to manipulate people to think that Iran should be the next one. And check out the survey results. We do a great job in propaganda. That's what it's all about. And if the results come back and they aren't up to par, so let's say 20% will war with Iran and 80% will actually peace, they say, okay, so now we have to go and rework our media propaganda and make it more effective so these percentages change. Why am I saying this? Because of the UFO phenomenon. Since the 60s, the amount of people extraterrestrials has skyrocketed, and it only increases day by day in our modern world. This only confirms the success and the plans that are taking place to first manipulate you to believe in UFOs, and second, to conduct a UFO attack that is going to force the whole world to unite, fight off this enemy, and accept.
Canadian government official is warning we may be on the verge of intergalactic war, saying, quote, the Bush administration has finally agreed to let the military build a forward base on the moon, which which will put them in a better position to keep track of the comings and goings of visitors from space and to shoot at them if they so decide.
I was introduced to the late Dr. Wernher von Braun in the U.S., the father of rocketry. In my first meeting with him during that first 3.5 hours, he said to me, Carol, you will stop the weaponization of space because there is a lie being told to everyone that the weaponization of space is now first being based upon the evil empire of the Russians. There are many enemies who said against whom we're going to build the space-based weapon system. The first of whom was the Russians, which was existing at that time. Then there would be terrorists. Then there would be third world countries. Now we call them rogue nations or nations of concern. Then there would be asteroids. And then he would repeat to me over and over. And the last card, the last card, the last card would be the extraterrestrial one. As a military strategist, as a person who worked on the MX missile, which I did later, he said, you will find that there is going to be a spin to find some enemy against whom we have to build space-based weapons. And now we should expect the spin. And that's the formula, except that it's all based on a lie.
A supersonic saucer. Called the Silver Bug, it was truly revolutionary. The plans show in detail a multi-jet engine craft that boasted amazing maneuverability and speed. It's an intriguing thought that this concept may tie in with the work of the German scientists who brought saucer technology to the US at the close of the Second World War.
What was needed were certain cover stories. What do you do when people are spotting the airplane and telling reporters that they've seen something very unusual flying out of an airbase in Nevada? And frankly, this was the origin of the sightings that took place in the mid-50s, 1954, 55, 56, of unidentified flying objects, the UFOs. So the CIA was involved in encouraging people to believe that, yes, they saw UFOs, and the CIA and the military tried to be very helpful to reporters to get these stories out, to divert the attention of the country, particularly the people in this region, about what they had actually seen.
Mexican Air Force pilots capturing on videotape what are said to be 11 UFOs.
The Mexican Air Force has released a video that some of you are going to find difficult to believe. A journalist says it shows images of UFOs tracking a Mexican military plane.
So what's the truth about UFOs? The story of successive attempts to develop radically new forms of flight, conducted under the strictest secrecy, is inextricably bound up with our relationship with UFOs over the last 60 years. Whether it's Allied pilots buzzed by strange balls of fire in 1942, or the Roswell incident 5 years later, there is a strong case to be made that secret military technology offers a convincing explanation for many UFO stories.
Anytime the government has secrets that they can keep from us, they can manipulate us by those secrets. In essence, they still remain 25 years at least ahead of us in technology, information, and knowledge, and secrets, and they are using them against us. I've heard over the years, many times over, that the plan to usher in the New World Order would be to make all the people in this country and around the world feel totally helpless to prevent the New World Order from occurring. This world dominance plan, by saying that we had been invaded by aliens, so that they would say, oh, please, you help us all. So bear in mind that there is a plan, orchestration, to get people to be submissive through a secret technology and that they're keeping from you under the blanket of
এখন আপনি জিজ্ঞাসা করতে পারেন তারা কিভাবে এমন একটি স্টেজ ইভেন্ট বা বানানো ঘটনা তৈরি করেছে, আর আমরা কিভাবে তাদের এই মিথ্যার ট্র্যাপে পড়ে গেলাম। কারণ এর আগেও তারা এমন অনেক বানোয়াট ঘটনা আমাদেরকে বিশ্বাস করতে বাধ্য করেছে। এরা আমাদেরকে বছরের পর বছর মিথ্যা বলে বোকা বানিয়ে আসছে, কারণ আমাদেরকে সত্যটা বলার কেউ নেই। তারা এই একই সরঞ্জাম ব্যবহার করে আমাদেরকে ম্যানিপুলেট করে আসতেছে বহু আগে থেকেই।
actually correct.
Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
আমরা কবে নিজেদেরকে ঘুম থেকে জাগাবো সেটা আমি জানি না। আমি শুধু এতটুকু চাই যে আমার অডিয়েন্স যাতে সত্যটা জানুক এবং তাদের ঘুমটা যেন ভেঙে যায়। এতে আমার এই চ্যানেলের উদ্দেশ্য সফল হবে।
So what about the other 1% of the UFO phenomenon? Has there ever been legitimate sightings? As promised, we're going to cover this 1% in a future episode. But I'll share with you something a wise man once shared with me. Before we should start focusing on dealing with problems outside our world, we should first focus on solving the problems within our world. And before you can start solving problems within your world, you first have to solve problems within yourself and within your surrounding environment of family and friends. So basically what I'm trying to say is that we have priorities that we need to focus on first and foremost so we can successfully build our lives and our minds. Now, it's no secret that the difference between what the government knows about UFOs and aliens and what is shared or released to the public is extremely enormous. And unfortunately, governments and several organizations on Earth are taking advantage of the UFO phenomenon to achieve worldly agendas.
So why do we see particle beams, huge ones, firing at things that are, you were saying 200,000 Gs?
Yep.
I mean, go over that.
Well, because I think it's part of a test for if there are bad guys out there. Maybe they're doing preparations for factions. We may be looking at more than one faction. Remember, these groups tend to fragment. They fractally fragment so that you have wars within wars. You know.
But why would NASA release that footage?
Well, remember, you got all the good guys at NASA. And then you got a few who are not good guys. Good guys don't know that there's something to keep secret. They remember the lies they've been level. They believe the lies they've been told. So when you set up a structure, it's supposed to be open and above board, and it's supposed to present live TV of the shuttle missions. They present live TV. Now the controllers can't say, "Oh well, we can broadcast this, we can't broadcast that." The honest guys will then say,
Sure.
"Well, why can't we broadcast that?"
People always say if this was happening, it would come out, and it is coming out. Well, I mean, I agree with you. When you've got the Catholic Church saying we need to love the aliens, they're our brothers, when you've got every major denomination saying it, when you've got all the movies, and you've got, in the 80s, huge programs at the Olympics with aliens landing, fake aliens, and you've got huge things the size of 3 football fields floating over Dallas, and stuff all over the place. Something's going on. And then I read government documents about fake extraterrestrial landings. Any of this. Why? I mean, you believe it's fake.
Operation Northwood.
Yes.
Okay. Or we can go to the, September 11th. Governments, big things, way population, need nodal points.
They love hoaxes.
Yeah, well, they manufactured it, what it is. We are building, all my UFO friends, I need to think they're so, frankly, they're extremely naive, Alex. They really believe we're building toward disclosure. I believe we're building toward a mass, carefully manufactured, fake event where ETs, who are really human, who are really part of this secret clique, who are probably Nazis, who developed or perfected their technology from World War II, which is why you've got to get, those upon. They are going to basically fake out the world. And there's an incredible window on the Nazi black ops programs, like compartmentalized, incredible high technology efforts that are being funded by the Nazi war machine to toward the end of the war in a desperate effort to win the war, and they fastened their hopes on several key technologies, some of which appear to be the control of gravity itself. Again, is a separate piece of data from my work, which came at this from a hyperdimensional perspective.
I mean, we know there's a lot of suppressed technology. I mean, 20 years after the B-2 bomber was already in service, they declassify it. So we have a lot of cases of that. We know there's a whole shadow government. And many people...
Technology and physics, Alex, that would make anything you think you know like a candle flame compared to a hydrogen bomb. This is physics that literally allows you to rearrange.
এখন প্রশ্ন হলো, এই উন্নত প্রযুক্তিগুলো কোথা থেকে এলো? এটি শীঘ্রই আমাদের সর্বোত্তম ক্ষমতার জন্য কভার করা হবে।
But I mean, imagine you've got all these compartments in these pyramids within pyramids of compartmentalization. That's why that's the New World Order symbol. And I mean, we don't know what they've got because they are so secret. We know they lie so much. We just know it's advanced. Mainline scientists say they're 30 years advanced. So Richard C. Hoagland, what I'm saying to you is, I'm entertaining what you're saying. I respect you. I think you're a great guy. My only issue is, like you said, dealing with what we know they could be up to.
In fact, Alex, we have done experiments. We have our own data. We have experiments now from the Soviet Union. 40 years when the Iron Curtain came down, you know, when Glasnost finally prevailed, a huge amount of stuff was declassified from the KGB as well. And we now have put this data together. We not only know what the physics is, we know what it can do, we know what it's based on, we know how to make it work. We've seen in our own experiments ample evidence. We've seen experiments across the American landscape and even in Europe that vindicate various parts of this. And the latest thing I'm working on, it looks like von Braun himself was deeply involved in some of this early physics experimentation, but they're keeping all the good stuff for themselves. The reason is that if we got access to the technologies, the energy, you know, we wouldn't be worried about $4, $5 a gallon gas, or $10 a gallon gas. We would live like people are supposed to live. 6 billion of us could live lightly on the earth, Alex, with this technology.
And live longer. And,
you know, you could live to 300 and have the virility of your 20s and 30s. There's extraordinary medical breakthroughs. There's extraordinary physics breakthroughs, technology breakthroughs, energy. It's all been kept away.
Think about it. We're already on a planet hurtling through space. All these wonders around you, and you've been taught it's bizarre to question. And that's because there's so many kooks in the alternative movement who do talk about ridiculous, you know, Hollywood-style green men instead of really looking at the shadow government and all these crazy secret societies that are admittedly running NASA and the shadow government.
Ladies and gentlemen, during this talk that I'm going to give you, I'm going to explain to you the history of this phenomenon, who the secret government really is, and I will name them by name, beginning group, the study group. I will tell you who they are today. I'm going to tell you what this is all about. I'm going to tell you who's selling drugs to your children. And I'm going to tell you why the United States government is afraid for you to find out what the truth is regarding
মনে রাখবেন, সত্য আমাদেরকে স্বাধীনতার দিকে নিয়ে যায়। একমাত্র আমাদের সৃষ্টিকর্তাকে খোঁজার মাধ্যমে আমরা ইনার পিস এবং আমাদের জীবনের আসল উদ্দেশ্য নির্মাণ করতে পারব। জ্ঞানই হচ্ছে আসল শক্তি।
And it turns out that even though she remembered that she was part of the team, she was the astronaut, couldn't remember a thing that they said, couldn't remember why he no longer was working with NASA, couldn't remember. In other words, the memory lapses were enormous, and I don't think they were sane, because we now found the same pattern in all the psychics. Because the awful truth, Alex, is they have been brainwashed. They have been mind controlled. They have added technology, a very sophisticated technology, which took away the real missions they experienced.
Sorry.
এখন আসল কথা হচ্ছে এলিয়েন কি আসলে এক্সিস্ট করে নাকি এগুলো ভুয়া। কোরআনের এই আয়াতে আল্লাহ তাআলা বলেন, তার সৃষ্টির এক অনন্য নিদর্শন হলো নবমণ্ডল এবং ভূমণ্ডলের সৃষ্টি, এবং এতদূর ভয়ের মধ্যে তিনি যেসব জীবজন্তু ছড়িয়ে দিয়েছেন, তিনি যখন ইচ্ছা এগুলোকে একত্রিত করতে সক্ষম। সূরা সূরা। আলোচ্য এই আয়াতে 7 আসমানে ও 7 জমিনের মধ্যে জীবজন্তু ছড়িয়ে দেওয়ার কথা বলা হয়েছে। এর মানে হচ্ছে আমাদের পৃথিবী ছাড়া অন্য কোনো গ্রহে বা ডাইমেনশনে এই প্রাণী থাকার সম্ভাবনা আছে। অন্তত আল কোরআনের এই আয়াতে তেমনি ইঙ্গিত পাওয়া যায়। আর এটা আমরা সবাই জানি, জিন জাতিকে মহান আল্লাহ তাআলা সৃষ্টি করেছেন। জিন যে কোনো রূপ বা আকার ধারণ করতে পারে। তাই আপনারা অনেক সময় শুনে থাকেন অনেক মানুষ বলে তারা এলিয়েন দেখেছে। দেখেন, আমেরিকার অনেক মানুষই জানে না জিন কি। এটা না জানাটাই স্বাভাবিক, কারণ তাদের মধ্যে বেশিরভাগ মানুষই বিধর্মী। তাই তারা কোনো কিছু দেখলে মনে করে এটা এলিয়েন, কারণ এইসব বিষয় তাদের মাথায় গেঁথে দিয়েছে। আর তারা এলিয়েন কনস্পিরেসি থিওরির আড়ালে নেভাডা শহরে সামরিক যান তৈরি বা পরীক্ষা নিরীক্ষা করছে। নেভাডা শহরে এরিয়া 51-এ যারা বলেছে ইউএফও দেখেছে, সেগুলো আসলে ছিল আমেরিকার তৈরি অ্যাডভান্স জেট। ধরেন আপনারা আমাকে ওয়ালিদ নামে চিনেন, কিন্তু আমার বাসায় সবাই আমাকে রফিক নামে ডাকে। এতে কি আমার অস্তিত্ব চেঞ্জ হবে? অবশ্যই না। আমাকে আপনি যে নামেই ডাকেন না কেন, আমিই থাকবো। ঠিক তেমনি অনেকে জিনকে ভূত, এলিয়েন ইত্যাদি নামে চিনে। এতে করে কিন্তু জিনের অস্তিত্ব চেঞ্জ হবে না। আর এলিয়েনের চেহারাও ঠিক এমন হতে হবে সেটা কোনো কথা না। এটা আমেরিকানরা বানিয়েছে, এটার কোনো ভিত্তি নেই। এটা জাস্ট তাদের কল্পনার চিত্র। এক কথায় আমাদের এই সৌরজগতের বাইরে এবং অন্যান্য ডাইমেনশনে এক্সট্রা ডাইমেনশনাল প্রাণী রয়েছে যারা আমাদেরকে দেখতে পারে, কিন্তু আমরা তাদের ইচ্ছা ছাড়া তাদেরকে দেখতে পারি না। আর ইউএফও বা এলিয়েন আমেরিকার সিক্রেট ইন্টেলিজেন্সের বানানো একটি প্রোপাগান্ডা। তারা এই ইউএফওর আড়ালে কী ধরনের এক্সপেরিমেন্ট চালাচ্ছে সেটা আল্লাহই ভালো জানেন।